3. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Mediation and Beyond, where conversations that matter are in place. And today I am super happy to have Mikhaila Fendor with me, all the way from California. So good morning, Mikhaila.
Good morning.
I'm super appreciative because it's early out there for her. I have the benefit of having the 3-hour time zone difference, which benefits me in this case. So let me introduce Mikhaila. Mikhaila is a primary conflict resolution specialist at Equilibrium. I love the name. We'll talk about that later on. She's been practicing conflict resolution since 2014. Initially, she's interested in practicing family law, and Mikhaila felt a much deeper calling to less adversarial and more integrative practices like mediation and arbitration. Her passion for moving people toward healthier communication took off after taking mediation training at community boards in San Francisco. However, the passion ignited long before then, as Mikhaila has had a natural love of bringing people together since childhood. Ultimately, she envisions Equilibrium becoming a place where people gather, connect, heal, create, and build together. Her educational background includes African American studies, gender studies, and negotiation and conflict resolution at the University of California, Berkeley, place I love, and Columbia University alumni too. So we have that in common. She's been trained in mediation and conflict coaching at community boards in New York Peace Institute. Mikhaila's also studied dance and photography at Tisch School of the Arts and performed with dance companies in both the Bay Area and New York. She's been invaluable. She has seen the invaluable importance of art and is driven to incorporate art making and creativity into everything she does. Outside of Equilibrium, Mikhaila's interests include gardening, cooking, discovering new music, street photography, dancing, swimming, making her own skin and hair care products. You are just a wealth of talent. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Thanks for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. And I'm really happy that we've connected on social media. So thank you.
Same here.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm glad we bumped into each other was, mediation obviously is what has drawn us together, but we had a prior conversation and obviously we have a lot of the same thinking. And one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on is I wanted to highlight you because I wanted to have people here. Obviously it's clear we're not the same age. We won't say who's older, but obviously it's clear we're not the same age, but I don't
think it's that clear.
But I wanted to have people hear about I think the younger generation getting involved in mediation is really significant. But a couple of things before we even go down that road is I wanted to hear from you. What even drew you into the field? And yeah, I read your bio, which is a great bio, but just from you personally, like what even led you down mediation, the track of mediation, and what does mediation mean to you? Because mediation's a big word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I used to notice that whenever I would watch movies or like plays or something, and the main characters, if they had been in opposition at all, if they were getting along by the end of the movie, I remember I was just like beaming. I was just smiling and it felt really good. And I would look to my left and my right, and neither my mom or my sister was as moved as I was. And I just thought, oh, well, that's strange. But, I carried on with my life and thought, I just love when people get along and, it's my personality. And then, like you said, when I was getting out of undergrad, I thought I want to be a lawyer. I was going down that track. I knew for sure I was going to be in family law, making big bucks, doing adult things.
Right.
Then I worked at a law firm for a while, and no disrespect to any lawyers out there, but they just seemed miserable, like completely miserable. And I had a mentor at the time who told me that she thought I might be more interested in mediation and that I should check it out. And I did. I got trained in 2013, 2014. And it was just whenever I could sort of facilitate a conversation that happened between people and went well, I got that same feeling that I got from watching the movies. And I just thought, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It feels too good to get people to get along or to fix a
Right,
problem.
right.
Yeah, so I just immersed myself in it after that. And yeah, I mean, I knew I was it was going to be a struggle because my parents were like, mediation, what is that? That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like law. For a long time, they were still telling people that I was studying law, which I wasn't quite studying exactly. But yeah, that's what drew me.
And so do you find that people, even like your parents, right? Do you find that people just don't know what it is?
Yeah. I feel like people have an assumption about what they think it is. Either they assume that it's like what they've seen on TV, some legal process, or some people akin it to therapy. And I guess there's a lot of parallels there as far as how it makes
Mhm.
you feel. But I do find myself having to explain it in detail, even to people who sign up for it. Before you start, you have to.
And do you find that most people do think that you need attorneys to mediate? Like that it's a legal thing?
Um, Yeah, well, I would say it's 50-50.
Okay,
People who find me tend to understand that an attorney is not necessary.
okay.
Um, but you know, some others who like really rely on the legal system and the way that we've cultivated this world very much would prefer an attorney in the room.
Gotcha. And so did you found Equilibrium? Is that
Did.
okay? So can you share with us what is Equilibrium? Loving the name.
Thank you. Equilibrium, the Center for Restorative Wellness, is a virtual for now,
Yep.
conflict resolution center where I help women of color and organizations examine the relationships in their life and look at the conflicts and get to the other side, essentially,
Okay.
and get the most optimal relationships that they can with themselves and with others, because I do conflict coaching as well. So we offer mediation, we offer conflict coaching, and a sort of creative service that I developed that's more catered to each person that I work with. That's called restorative healing. And that essentially is to be done outdoors, and it's very um, it's designed to really bring out the creative aspect of each person that I work with. So that's a case by case basis and tends to be longer.
You know, this is an interesting question. Really, I don't think I've asked this before. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but this is what happens when you're just going live and it's unedited, right? And we
Yeah.
don't have planned questions.
Oh
So
gosh, here we go.
what is the difference between mediation in your mind and conflict coaching?
Well, mediation is between two folks,
Yep.
and conflict coaching is essentially me and one person dissecting a conflict together to come up with options and choices that they can use to potentially address that conflict on their own, even if the other person or persons that they're having a conflict with is not in the room.
Okay.
And we look at the conflict from a bunch of different perspectives, and so it really gives you a chance to sort of uh, dissect and break down what your perspective is, what the other person's perspective is, how you played a role in the conflict from a bunch of different aspects of your life, like emotion, power, and identity. And then you sort of tackle it together. And my role in that becomes much more directive, rather than a mediation where I sort of take a back seat and let the parties figure out their situation together. In conflict coaching, I'm a lot more probing, if you will.
Right, right. Have you found that in terms of demographics, that you're working with people of all ages, all colors, or in all areas, like from all over, or because you're younger, are you feeling like there's a draw from more people of your age group, or what are you finding?
I would say the people that have been drawn to me so far have been women of color, just because that's what I've advertised my demographic to
Oh,
be.
okay, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, it's usually up till now it's been women of color on the younger side, like 40 and under. And the reason I chose that was more so to like keep my workload small, but also because I do think that in communities of color, there's a lot of trauma that happens that goes unaddressed, that we just sort of sweep under the rug, that really deeply affects our lives and our relationships, that we don't have time to address. And I really wanted to, it's a priority for me. And I know studying conflict resolution completely changed my life and my outlook and the way that I interact with the people in my life. So I wanted to be able to sort of share that knowledge and get people thinking about this in a different way.
Mikhaila, what are some of the like the higher conflicts that people are bringing to the table, or areas of concern that you're mediating with women of color that you're finding? Are there more like there's people are focusing on more in one area than another? Have you found that at all?
Um,
That
I mean, I can't speak to like societally or something that's happening generally, but for me,
yeah, no,
what's been
just you.
coming across my desk, yeah,
Yeah.
is conflict around race, actually. Race in the workplace, or race in um interracial relationships of any kind, friendships, romantic relationships. I've been seeing that a lot, but I think that's because of the way that I've presented myself. I think people, because I've studied like that sort of thing up till
Right.
now, I think people are attracted to that because of my background.
I think that's interesting too, because I've heard from friends on this side, like that the racial issue among girlfriends who are friends with women of color, right?
Yeah,
That it's caused problems in just friendships. And
definitely.
and I'm like, where I would have never I would have not predicted that personally, not predicted that, but I can see after listening to some of my friends, I could see how, oh, okay, I would have thought that. But I would have never thought about that being a conflict and having to actually talk about that. But that's been one of the things that's come across my desk too. So, but we don't really talk about it. But it's one of those on the on the low radar, which no one really speaks about. That's the kind of things that I think are necessary to talk about, but no one really talks about them.
Yeah,
But
I mean, especially in the last year, right? In the
yes,
last, or a year and a half, when everything sort of erupted racially in the country, I think a lot more awareness was brought to different communities who may not have been thinking about race in a personal way. And so I think that really started to sort of emerge in people's relationships, and they started to be like, how do we talk about this? And
and these are
actually, we've been
lifelong
doing this for a long
friendships.
time.
These
Yeah,
are lifelong friendships. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so I think those friendships too and relationships were caught off guard with that issue being sort of placed in their laps, even though it was always there, but now they were ready to talk about it.
Which is good, goes back to having a place like Equilibrium, having mediators, having conflict coaches, having people trained that can actually help navigate these conversations is so essential,
Yeah,
right? And having places to go and knowing that there's places out there. The one thing I think is so beneficial to like doing this conversation with you today is that you can have a conflict that needs some help and have a conflict in Connecticut, where I am, and have a coach in California and be able to take care of it. Where before COVID, you didn't really know that access existed. And
right.
so that makes the ability to navigate challenging conversations so much easier, because
Yeah.
the world is open to navigating difficult conversations, and you can call anybody and get in touch with anybody. So how do people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me via the website, www.equilibriumbalance.com,
Okay.
or they can find me on Instagram at equilibrium.balanced with a D. Yeah, or I mean, they can find me on LinkedIn.
And they can find your contact info on your Equilibrium Balanced, right?
Correct. There's a book session page, and that'll send an email directly to me. And there's a little sort of questionnaire that they have to fill out, but after that, it'll send the email to me.
Okay. And I don't want to get too much into this, but I wanted to just touch on the arts, right? And conflict coaching. How do you see that, coming together with some synergy? How do you see that coming together?
Well, for me, I just, in my educational career, I found that I have a learning style that is different than others. I mean, it's common to have a different learning style. I learned through movement. I learned through art and sound and ways that are not just lecture based. I do enjoy talking, but sometimes people just aren't, designed to learn that way or to have stuff sink into their mind that way. So I really like to learn about what people enjoy and what makes them light up, so that we can sort of combine the ways that they feel good in a day with getting through conflict, so that they're more prone to approaching that next time and being like, actually, last time I talked about this fight, I was outside and I was moving and I got to meditate and I got to breathe and it didn't feel so bad. It actually felt really good. I'm open to inviting someone to do this with me so we can work this out and it's not scary.
Yeah, I mean, people need to work through their conflict in many different ways. Some people need space. Some people like to talk, right? Some people get very physical and have rage. Some people get very quiet. Like there's all those ways that some people write, some people sing.
Exactly.
Right. And so there's all those different ways of expression. And that's kind of what you're saying, and bringing all that together.
Right. In the restorative healing sessions, I have people do a questionnaire about what's been the most exciting learning that they've done in their life, and then I'll sort of create a program based on what they love to do, whether that's journaling or drawing, and then have them do something around that to sort of look at whatever they're doing.
No, that makes so much sense, because once you do that, it's kind of like, you remember you heard of the 5 love languages. Once you understand your love language, it's like once you understand your conflict language, right?
Exactly.
Like what works for you. Absolutely. Oh, I love this conversation. And so just for anybody who's watching, Mikhaila and I are going to do a series of conversations around conflict and mediation. And so please check her out at Equilibrium Balanced, and please watch for her. We'll be trying to do a weekly or at least a bi-monthly conversation around mediation and conflict coaching and conflict training, and see what she's up to, see what she's sharing, and watch for her. So Mikhaila, thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you getting up a little extra early for me. And
of course.
Absolutely. And we'll be posting some additional videos. So anybody watching, please look for her and find her again on Equilibrium Balance. Find her on LinkedIn. Look for her. Are you on Instagram?
I am. That's at equilibrium.balanced with a D.
All right. We'll find her on Instagram, and you'll find her contact info in the details below. And thanks so much, Mikhaila. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll find you again.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Take care. Bye-bye.